Hello everyone. We are in the chapter Past Progressive, and we've got to the lesson that deals with sentences. In this lesson, I'll teach you positive sentences, negative sentences, yes/no questions, that is questions whose answers are yes or no, WH questions, which are what, when, where, etc., and questions about the subject, who, or what. We are going to deal with three options. Continuous actions. Continuous actions, which is interrupted by another action. Continuous actions, which occur simultaneously. Let's begin. First, I'll teach you the structure of continuous actions. Positive sentences. The sentence starts with the subject, followed by was, or were, depending on the subject. After that, comes a verb plus ing, and then, the rest of the sentence. Danny was doing his homework last night, at 10 o'clock. The subject is Danny. We use was, because Danny is a he. We add ing to the verb do, which turns into doing. After all that, the rest of the sentence. They were doing their homework last night, at 10 o'clock. The subject is they, so we use were. Here also, the verb do, gets ing, and turns into doing, and then, the rest of the sentence. Negative sentences. The sentence starts with the subject, followed by was, or were, depending on the subject. Not, verb plus ing, and the rest of the sentence. The term that expresses negation is, was not, or, were not. The shortcut of was not, is wasn't, and the shortcut of were not, is weren't. It is clear that I, he, she, and it, get the was not, or the wasn't, and you, we, and they, get the were not, or the weren't. Danny was not doing his homework last night, at 10 o'clock. Or, Danny wasn't doing his homework last night, at 10 o'clock. Danny is a he, so we use was not, or wasn't. The verb do, gets ing. They were not doing their homework last night, at 10 o'clock. Or, they weren't doing their homework last night, at 10 o'clock. The subject is they, therefore, we use were not, or weren't. The verb do, gets ing. Yes/no questions. The question starts with was, or were, depending on the subject. Then comes the subject. After the subject, comes the verb plus ing, and then, the rest of the question. Was Danny doing his homework last night at 10 o'clock? The subject, Danny, is a he, and therefore, we start the question with was. According to the structure above, we add ing to the verb do. Were they doing their homework last night at 10 o'clock? The subject is they, therefore, we start the question with were. Here, as always in the past progressive tense, the verb do, gets ing and becomes doing. WH questions. Let me list some of the WH questions first. What? When? Where? Why? Which? Who? How? How doesn't start with WH, but is also a WH question. The question always starts with a WH question, followed by was or were, depending on the subject. Then, the subject, followed by a verb plus ing, and the rest of the question. Nothing else to explain. Let's just follow with some more examples. What was Danny doing last night at 10 o'clock? The question starts with the WH question, what? We use was, because Danny is a he. As always, the verb do, gets ing and becomes doing. What were they doing last night at 10 o'clock? This question also starts with the WH question, what? The subject is they, which is why we use were, and the verb do, as you know, gets ing, and becomes doing. Questions about the subject. Question about the subject will always start with who, or what, depending on the subject. If the subject is human, the question will begin with who. If the subject is not human, the question will begin with what. Example for subject in which we use who: Bob, the pupils, my boss, father, and so on. All of them are human. Example for subject in which we use what: the lion, this table, my bike, your bed, etc. Not human. After the who, or the what, comes the verb to be was. We always use was in the question about the subject. Never were. Then comes a verb plus ing, and the rest of the question. Example: who was doing his homework last night at 10 o'clock? Pay attention that we always use was. That's it. We've covered all we need to know about the structure of continuous actions. I'll show you now an example for continuous action, which is interrupted by another action. Danny was going to school when I met him. We can see two actions in this sentence. The first one is, Danny went to school. The second is, I met Danny. The first action, the act of walking, is a continuous action. Danny goes, and goes, and goes. He keeps walking until he reaches his destination, which is school. That is a continuous action, and that's why we use the past progressive tense, was going. The second action, my meeting with Danny, is not a continuous action. I just met him and that's it. The meeting operation stopped in the minute I met him. It's a simple action. We use the past simple tense here. I met. In order to understand the logic of this, the clue here is the keyword, when. The keyword when indicates a simple operation, not a continuous one. Finally, let me give you an example for several continuous operations, which occur simultaneously. Danny was going to school, while I was working. Here, we also have two actions. Both of them occur simultaneously. The first one is, Danny went to school. The second is, I was working. Danny's going action is continuous, as well as my working action. We can see here two continuous operations, which occur simultaneously. Here again, we have a keyword, while, which indicate a continuous action. Let's mention again, the keyword when indicates a simple operation, not continues. The keyword while indicates a continuous operation. That's it. This is all the material. Now, let's do some more examples. My daughter talk on the phone while I watch TV. There are two operations here. The first one, my daughter talks on the phone, and the second, I watch television. The first operation, the talking on the phone action, is continuous, therefore we say, was talking. The second action, the act of watching television, is also continuous, so we say, was watching. Pay attention to the keyword while, which indicates a continuous operation. That's how it should be, my daughter was talking on the phone, while I was watching TV. When I last see Karen, she wear a red shirt. There are also two actions here. The first is, I see Karen. The second, Karen wears a red shirt. The first action is not continuous. The keyword that indicates this is when, which expresses simple action. Logic also suggests that it is not continuous operation. Therefore we use past simple behavior here. The verb see turns into saw. The second action is continuous. Karen didn't stop wearing the red shirt as I met her. We should say was wearing. This is how the sentence should be: when I last saw Karen, she was wearing a red shirt. Sharon, make salad while we lay in bed. The first action, the salad preparation, is a continuous operation. We should say was making. The keyword while that appears before the second action, we lay in bed, indicates that the operation is a continuous operation, and therefore should be were laying. Even without the keyword while, it is clear that lying in bed is a continuous operation. This is how it should be: Sharon was making salad while we were laying in bed. What you try to do while we sleep. The sentence begins in what and ends with a question mark. We don't have to be genius to figure out that this is a question. The two actions, the act of trying to do something and the act of sleeping, are continuous. Therefore, this is how the question should be: what were you trying to do while we were sleeping? Last example. When I arrive, they play the piano. The first action, when I arrive, is a simple operation and not a continuous one. I'm not arriving and arriving and arriving. I arrived and that's it. Another sign of this is the keyword when, that indicates a simple action. So we use the simple past here, arrived. The second operation, they played the piano, is a continuous action. It should be, when I arrived, they were playing the piano. That is all. Now is the time to enter the Grammarland homepage to start practicing. Enter the website via the link in the description area below the video. We ask you again to give us a share, like, and to subscribe to our videos. We also would like some feedback in order to help us improve this course. Now enter our homepage via the link in the description area, or enter the next lesson, homework, via the link at the top of the screen. The Grammarland team wishes you lots of fun and success.